E.N.D here. It's time for my honest review of Theros Beyond Death. As you may know, now the set is fully spoiled. We know the full card list of Theros Beyond Death. It's time to review this set. First, I think Theros Beyond Death has a very interesting lore, a very interesting story. I really liked the fact that during the spoiler, they released these type of small stories about the cards. I chose a couple of stories that I really liked. One of them is Clotis, God of Destiny. The God of Destiny, Clotis, does not appreciate those who would manipulate fate, and her response is swift and final. If a certain someone were to attempt to escape the underworld, Clotis would do everything in her power to stop them. It really and truly, it started the story of Theros Beyond Death. Then we had other stories like Heliod's Suncrown, very interesting. We have Calix's Destiny's Hands, the last Planeswalker released for Theros Beyond Death. We had also Shadow Spear, which is the spear that Elspeth used to defeat Heliod. These stories, obviously there were more stories, but I really liked this type of spoiler, the style of spoiler, where they issued some lore along with the cards. Next, art. The art of Theros Beyond Death. I really liked the art of Theros Beyond Death. Obviously this is the Planeswalker Elspeth full art, borderless card. I really like this type of art, this type of Greek mythology, Greek style. We had a couple of cards, for example, this particular art, really and truly, it's a very interesting artwork for a Magic the Gathering card. We had other cards like this Nyx Lotus, like Erebos, and also the Allure. All this art is a beautiful art that significantly targets certain cards in Theros Beyond Death. Now, Magic the Gathering set, it's not a set if you don't have good Planeswalker. And in Theros Beyond Death we have 3 Planeswalkers, Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis, we have the normal card and also borderless Planeswalker with alternative art. These cards can be found in your normal draft booster boxes, in your pre-release kits. Obviously the extended art of rare cards and mythics can be found in booster boxes, in draft booster boxes. Those can be found only in collector booster boxes. As I said, we have Elspeth, we have Ashok Nightmare Muse. I really love the borderless card of Ashok. And also we have Calix's Destiny's Hands, and also we have the borderless of Calix's Destiny's Hands. My opinion, these three Planeswalkers, they are quite strong, but obviously they are not strong as much as the Planeswalker of Theros, of Throne of Eldraine. Remember Throne of Eldraine, we had Oko, which dominated Standard. In my opinion, I don't think that one of these 3 Planeswalkers will ever dominate Standard in the future. Having said that, obviously Magic the Gathering deck needs, we have in Theros Beyond Death, we have the enchantment gods. Theros, when you mention Theros, you know that it's Greek, you know there's enchantments, and you know it is gods. We have 6 gods, I'm sorry, Heliod's Suncrown, and every god card has its own constellation. Constellation is the showcase for Theros Beyond Death. Throne of Eldraine, we had the fairy tale style. Here we have the constellation. In my opinion, I really like this type of constellation cards. Tassa, Deep Dwelling, the blue god, also a constellation. These cards will be quite expensive. They will be quite rare, quite expensive, especially the foil version of the constellation of the gods. Erebos, another god. All gods are enchantments, all gods are very strong, and I'm sure they will see some play in Standard, Pioneer, Modern, and especially in Commander. Ferferius, Bronze-Blooded, the red god. We have the constellation card. Nelia, Keen-Eyed, the green god. And as I said, there's a constellation card of the, and as I said, there are 6 gods, and this is the 6th one, Clotis, God of Destiny. I've already talked about Clotis in the first part of this video about the lore. It is the red-green enchantment god, and we also have the constellation of Clotis. What's next for Theros Beyond Death? We have some interesting good mythic cards, and we're talking extremely. In my opinion, they are very strong cards. Two of them are the Titans, Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath and Croxa Titan of Death's Hunger. I also did a tutorial how to play these two cards. Remember, these are a 3-drop for a 6-6 for a 3-drop and a 2-2 for and a 6-6 for another 2-drop. Obviously you have to sacrifice them unless you escape, but they also give you some interesting advantage over your opponent. I think these type of Titans will see play. Also, the most expensive card in Theros Beyond Death, Nyxbloom Exit, 4 and 3 green. It's a 5/5. It has trample. It's an enchantment creature. If you tap a permanent for mana, it's produced 3 times as much of that mana instead. It's a very, very strong card, especially in Commander. Theros Beyond Death, obviously, we have some interesting commanders. I was saying that Nyxbloom Exit, it's a very strong card in Commander, which will give you a lot of mana. Obviously, you need good commanders, and we have quite interesting couple of legendary creatures, which can be your commander. One of them is Hektos the Unscared, Dalakos, Crafter of Wonders, Kunoros, Hound of Atrios, Taranika, Akron Veteran. These are the commanders, the rare cards for commanders. They are quite interesting cards. Some of them are monocolor, some of them are two colors, like Dalakos, like Kunoros. They are very good cards, obviously they are very good commanders, and I know out there are a lot of players that want to brew the commander decks with these new commanders. Obviously, again, when you talk about Theros, you talk about enchantments, and you need strong enchantments in this set, not only gods. And for Theros, we have the Saga back. The Sagas, which were very successful, they were first introduced in the Dominaria set. Here we have a couple of interesting saga. One of them is Kiora, Best the Sea God. It's a very strong card. It's a 7-drop, but it's a very strong drop. And I also did a tutorial of how to play this card and how to play sagas. There's Elspeth Conquers Death, another very interesting and strong saga. Taimarit Calls the Death, the first E.N.D games. And also, as I said, there's not only sagas, but we have also some other enchantments like Underworld Breach, which in my opinion, it's a very strong card, and probably this will see some play, because someone sure will brew a strong card with this card. Next, Theros Beyond Death. In the Magic the Gathering set, you need some good lands. For Theros Beyond Death, we have the Skylands. In this case, we have the friends Skylands, not the enemy Skylands, the ally Skylands, as they said. Temple of Enlightenment, white and blue. Temple of Abundance, green and red. Temple of Plenty, green and white. We have the Plenty of Menace, that's black and red. And Temple of Descent, where it is black and blue. Obviously, these are Skyland. These are the extended art version. Obviously, these can be found only in collector booster boxes. If you, in your draft booster boxes, you will find the normal bordered card. The surprise of Theros Beyond Death are the Nyx lands, these basic lands. They are full art, they are very beautiful lands, they are common, you will find one in every booster. But you will not find one foil in every booster. Foil cards will be quite expensive, and in my opinion they will be quite rare. I would imagine that foil version of the Nyx lands will be around 1 or 2 in every box, and will have a price of around $5 to $8, which is not bad for a foil basic land. It's a full art, they are very beautiful. Rare cards. Theros Magic the Gathering set needs good rare cards, and one out of them is this Nyx Lotus. This is a Lotus. And when you say Lotus, obviously everyone thinks about the Black Lotus. It's a 4-drop, it's a legendary and artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. You tap, you choose a color, and you add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. It's a very good card, it's a very strong card, and I'm sure this card will see a lot of commander play. Idyllic Tutor, a reprint. Obviously this one lets you search for an enchantment, and you need this type of cards in Theros Beyond Death. Shatter the Sky, a different version of Wrath of God, which, at least if you have a creature with power 4 or greater let you draw a card, and obviously destroys all creature. E2 extinction, very good removal spell, because this exiles, not destroys, creature or planeswalker, which is very, very good card. We have these intervention cards, Erebos Intervention. I'm sure that one of these intervention will see quite an amount of play, and I think their value will increase. Erebos Intervention, the black one. We have Nalia Intervention. This one lets you search for X lands, not basic lands. It's a very interesting card, it's a very good card, and I'm calling that this is one of the best cards released in the set. Not the best, because the best I'm leaving it at the end. That will be my WoW card. Tassa Intervention, another intervention card. Nadir Kraken. This card is a very interesting card, because I think this card can get quite large if not taken care of. Tassa Oracle. This is another different strange win condition. And obviously we have Labyrinth of Scophos. This is a land card, it's a rare card, it's a very interesting card, because 4/4 it lets you remove a target attacking or blocking creature from combat. Can saves you a creature or can remove the most powerful creature from attacking. Very, very good card. Obviously we're talking now about the uncommons. Uncommons usually they don't hold a lot of value, maximum 50 cents, $1. One of them, very interesting, is this Daxos Blessed by the Sun. Very, very interesting card. Destiny Spinner. This card is quite interesting because this card, creatures, enchantments, spells you control can be countered. Very, very good card. Wolf Willow Heaven. Let you expand your land, which could give you an additional green. Imagine this with the Nyx Bloom creature that I talked earlier. Very good card. Agonizing Remorse. Very, very good card. Another very good card. These are uncommon. These are quite strong cards. And I'm sure these can see quite a little bit of standard, pioneer, or modern play. I don't think modern may be standard or pioneer. Field of Ruin. A reprint from Ixalan. As I said, these don't hold a lot of value, but you can manage to buy or sell some of these cards for 50 cents or $1 maximum. Now, my ratings. I always do my ratings. I rate the set according to my opinion, always to my humble opinion. I always rate by certain formats, which is standard, modern, commander. Now I'm adding also pioneer, value, and overall, and my last thing will be my WoW card, the card that I think really and truly will do a lot and a lot in the set. Standard I gave it 6. It is not really a very low rating. It's not a very high rating, only because I think standard, I don't think there are a lot of cards that can hit standard. Standard is Throne of Eldraine, is War of the Spark, is the return of Ravnica, and I don't think there are a lot of cards that will hit standard. Obviously there will be a couple of those cards that will see standard play, and that's why I gave it a good moderate 6. Pioneer I gave it 8, which is quite high, which is very good in Pioneer, only because Theros, the first Theros block, is part of Pioneer, and this will increase any decks that use those type of strategy, enchantment, and gods. In Theros Beyond That we have quite good enchantments, tutor, like Edaric Tutor, and I'm sure some of these cards will be used in a Pioneer deck. As for modern, I gave it 5. I don't think that standard set nowadays will have quite big impact on modern. Modern has a vast amount of cards, very powerful cards, and I think for modern you don't need good cards that are in standard decks. I think modern needs more reprints, but I'm not 100% in favor of having mass reprints of certain cards, because obviously devaluates the value. But in this case, modern I gave it 5. Maybe there will be a couple of cards that will see modern play, but not that much. Commander, it's 8.5. There are very good commander cards in my opinion. There are very good cards that will fit any commander decks. The Nyx Lotus, one of them. There are legendary enchantment gods that will be in Commander can be also your commanders. So Commander, it's 8.5. This deck and all the decks that are being released for Magic the Gathering, they always have very good cards that are targeting Commander or Brawl. Because in this case, Commander and Brawl, I really truly leave with them together. Value. In terms of value, I gave it 7.5, which is very, very good ratings. Why 7.5? There are a couple of cards that they are already between $20 and $30. There are a couple of rare cards that are already between $10 and $15. And you have to remember that there are these constellation cards that hold quite amount of value. There are these constellation cards that can be in foil, and they will be quite expensive. And there are also this full art Nyx lands. In my opinion, these full art Nyx lands will be very, very expensive. When I say very expensive, I'm always comparing a basic land with another basic land. Therefore, I'm saying that, let's say, one land or 4 lands will be around $2 to $3. I play 4 lands, not a play set of 4 lands. Or even, as I said, the foils will be around $5 to $7, $8. Overall, I will give it a 7. It's Theros, it's Greek mythology, it's enchantment gods. It's a fun set. A good 7. I think this set merits a good 7. Let's see if I'm correct. It says in the future I'm correct or wrong. I must admit that for Theros, I gave I gave Throne of Eldraine 7.5, which I think it was quite low because Throne of Eldraine, without the banning of Oko and Once Upon a Time, I think that was a 9. But at that time, I thought it was a 7.5. Overall, 7. And now it's time for my wow card. That is the card that, in my opinion, is a very strong card. It's a card that I didn't show you in my review. And here it is. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. In my opinion, this is a very strong card. It's a 2 and 1 green. It's a 2/4. It's an enchantment creature. It's a nymph. It's a rare card. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands control every basic land type in addition to their other types. In my opinion, this is a very strong card. It's a card that can fit in every deck, especially Commander that needs colors, like 5 colors, let's say slivers, Standard, Pioneer, maybe Modern. This is, in my opinion, the WoW card that is the most interesting card, in my humble opinion. Can leave me a comment below. What do you think about this review? If you agree with me, if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me, leave me a comment below. Or even if you agree with me. And what do you think about Theros Beyond That? Here, there's a subscription button. Subscribe for my channel for more interesting videos about Theros Beyond That, Magic the Gathering. And I'm also doing a helpful video regarding the pre-release of Theros Beyond That.